Oh, what a weekend for your Padres behind Michael King and Dylan Cease. Remember, we had said Friday night, can they win a game in this series? They become just the second team to win a series this year in Cleveland, other than the Guardians, winning on Sunday, winning convincingly on Saturday, holding the Guardians to 3 combined hits over the last 2 games. The first time the Padres have done that since 1984. So a very good start to this 9-game road trip. Make your way in to the wrap-up show Sunday night edition. Please subscribe. We are here for you. Year-round content for Padres fans, the home of real Padres talk. We'll get you ready for the trade deadline, which is 9 days away. Smash the like button for us. You can follow us on X at John Schaefer, at Jim Russell SD. We see some supers have already rolled in. We will get to them momentarily. We appreciate your support of the channel. Just click that $ that is below the chat box. We appreciate your support. And also, if you want to become a member, you get emojis and badges. You can click the join button down below. This was a very impressive couple of days for the Padres in Cleveland, holding the Guardians again to 3 hits. Michael King, Dylan Cease, Matt Waldron. Those are the 3, Jim, that will try to carry the Padres to the postseason. That top 3/5 of the rotation, as good as any in baseball right now. They pitch like it this weekend, and the Padres win a series in Cleveland.
It was an impressive series for the starters. Most importantly, I don't think the offense really, besides Saturday, they scored 7 runs, but like the pitching staff did, Waldron, King, and Cease did what they need them to do majority of the second half. You know, we've been talking about this all during the break. Like, okay, do they need another frontline starter maybe, or another starter, this and that? I was like, look, if Dylan Cease is pitching like this, Michael King and Matt Waldron have been very, very solid for you. I know the inning limit thing is something that has been talked about, but they're blowing past these numbers right now, and they're looking better and better every single outing. So at some point, maybe we just stop talking about it because they're not showing any signs of, like, you know, wear and tear here or anything. They're actually getting better and better by each start. So when you look at it, they have 3 guys in the front of your rotation, Cease, King, and Waldron. And if those guys are pitching like this, then I feel good about this team. It's just the inconsistencies that they have consistently, which is funny to say that. Inconsistencies they have consistently with this team is the worry going forward with everything they do.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're not going to get this from these 3 the rest of the year. I mean, this is like an
quality
historically
outings.
good 3 games.
Yeah, give me quality outings. I'm not saying like no-hitter stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to do this. I mean, the issue is not these 3, nor was the issue really these 3. I mean, Cease has been up and down, but the other 2 have been very good in Waldron and King. The issue is 4 and 5. Like, you can skip 5 right now in your rotation because of this Monday off day. This is something they did not elect to do going into the All-Star break, but you can't do that all second half. Like you said, you're going to have inning issues with some of these guys. They have to add starting pitching. They absolutely have to add starting pitching. And I'm saying that coming off a historically good performance this weekend in Cleveland. But there is no choice if you're AJ Preller other than to add starting pitching. And then you can hope that Matt Waldron and Michael King and Dylan Cease do this for the remainder of the year. And then you're putting yourself in a position where you get a chance to be very good down the stretch. And that's with additions, in my opinion, as well. But you're just too thin. And we've gone through this before. And this isn't how you think you'd be here, to be honest, with Musgrove and Darvish on the IL and with King, Cease, and Waldron doing this right now without really having a number 5 starter. By the way, offensively, they did enough, obviously, here today. Kyle Higashioka has been like a godsend for this team. Xander Bogaerts has been unbelievable. So, I mean, Xander Bogaerts has been incredibly valuable since coming back. He's hit for power. He had a ball go off the top of the wall for a single yesterday, but he's hitting the ball hard right now. I think he's had 4 2-hit games in 5 games since returning, something like that. So, I mean, they have the makings of what they need, which is good starting pitching, Suarez, Estrada, enough offense. I just think they need more starting pitching. For me, that's where it like starts and ends. I think they can figure everything else out. I would just add starting pitching if I was AJ Preller. I just have to do it.
One thing with Bogaerts, yes, he is getting on base. He's 8 for 21 since he returned. All singles, 1 RBI.
No, that's not right.
It's not?
No.
Okay.
I saw him have a double. He's had at least a double, and he hit a ball off the top of the wall yesterday. So, I mean, that's not really a single for me. Yeah, they held him to a single, but I mean, 8 for 20. I don't care if he never has a double again this year. If he hits 390 for the rest of the year, that's fine.
Okay.
You disagree? 8 for 21 since returning. This guy was doing nothing.
I know. I'm just saying, like, I've said it consistently. If you're going to be in the 5 spot, you got to give me some power. That's it. That's all. It's 8 for 21. That's awesome. I'm glad he's actually getting on base, because it'd be worse if he was 1 for 21. It'd be horrible. But like, going forward, I hope that these games where he's getting multiple hits turn into like a double and 2 RBIs or whatever the case may be. Like, because 8 for 21 is fantastic, but you're in the 5 spot. You have 8 singles and you have 1 RBI since returning.
Maybe I'm thinking of the ball off the top of the wall as the double. I mean, but who cares? I mean, that's beggars can't be choosers type stuff. 8 for 21 for Xander Bogaerts is unbelievable.
What do you mean? Who cares?
Who cares? This guy had a 580 OPS. You think that the first concern for a guy coming off his shoulders, he has to hit for power? That's your first concern right now?
No. I'm saying going forward, like this. I said this is great, but going forward, John, you're telling me you don't care if he hits for power at all?
Compared to what we saw previously, man, I would take a guy that gets on base at a 400 clip. I would love that. I think
he needs to be a new leadoff hitter then.
No, I mean, also the sample size is nothing. So the 400 doesn't mean anything, just like the lack of quote unquote power doesn't mean anything, right? I mean, it's 6 games, right? 5 games, 6 games.
Very good games from Bogaerts. I'm just saying, going forward, if he's going to be in the 5 spot, I hope. I'm not hating on Xander. This is something I said about Xander since he returned. Like, hey, if you can hit him 5th, you got to see some pop. You got to see some run production. That's all I'm saying. But so far, so good with him by getting on base and getting hits and not going 0 for every single night like he was beforehand.
Not even close. 4 2-hit games. I think he's been really impressive since coming back. Let's get to the first super of the night. This one from Will. Thank you for your membership. Thank you for the super chat. So he says this. We had 3 starting pitcher masterclass performances. They were. Won 2 of 3 against the Indians, who hadn't lost a series at home all year. Will the real Padres team please stand up? I will say this. They've positioned themselves for a 5-4 trip based on going 2-1 in Cleveland. Now, if you can win a series in Washington, and if you lose a series in Baltimore, if they take 2 out of 3, you go 5-4. So I'm with you. They've been up and down. They're only a couple of games over 500, but this was the critical road trip where we were talking about Cleveland, the best team in the American League by record, Baltimore, the second best team in the American League by record, and you won a series in Cleveland. And you've been basically a 500 team against teams over 500, which to me is very good. So you go 3-3 the rest of the trip, and you've got a 5-4 trip, and that would be pretty impressive, in my opinion.
5-4 would have taken in a second after Friday night's loss, because that would mean, okay, you would win this series, and then you win another series, and if you happen to lose against the Orioles, then it's a 5-4 trip, and you take it, and you say, good enough. 5-4, 9-game roadie, take it. But it was impressive taking 2 or 3 from the Guardians this weekend, and the pitching was fantastic, and it feels almost like they're not going to get that quality of starting pitching forever, but they're going to need close to that going forward.
It doesn't feel like that to me. I don't think they'll need that type of performances. I think their offense has actually been well above average. So I don't think you'll need 7 innings, 2 hit type stuff from these guys moving forward. I just think you'll need them to provide quality starts.
Well, they got shut out on Friday and they scored 2 runs today.
Yeah, they're also playing the best team in the American League that was 29-11 at home coming into the series. So
okay,
I don't know if it's a perfect indicator of those 3 games, are they?
Okay, well, going back to the last 11 games, this team's offense has sucked besides Saturday.
All right. I mean, it wasn't like the worst offense of series, right? I mean, they scored 9 runs in 3 games. That's more than Cleveland scored.
Yeah, but with a 7-run outing on Sunday or Saturday.
Right, but that counts.
Okay, then the 7 runs on Friday for the Cleveland Guardians counts as well.
Correct. The Guardians scored 8 runs this series.
Okay, it doesn't matter how many runs are scored a series.
What are you saying?
You could score 3 runs in a series and win.
Well, let's just go with the indicators for the season. Forget about the 11 games. Aren't they a top 15 offense? Aren't they better than average
All right,
offense
Mike.
this year?
I'm just saying the last 10 games, his offense has not been good.
Dude, they've had a good couple of days. Like, everything doesn't have to be a negative here based on this weekend.
I'm not saying it's a negative. I'm just saying going forward, you get the pitching. You're going to
I'm just
need this
saying
type of
I don't
pitching
think
if
they
your
need
offense
this
is
type
not
of
going to
pitching
be.
moving forward because I think their offense will probably be better than the last 10 games. You probably agree, right?
I hope so. And the pitching this weekend was fantastic. And I don't think going forward they need this type of pitching, but close to it would be nice.
Murray, thank you. Great series win. Pump the brakes. We've been here before. 100%. 100% they've been here before. They haven't won anything. There's 60 games left. Everyone agrees with that. I think they're tied for the last wild card. So they haven't lost anything either. I think you'd prefer winning 2 out of 3 as opposed to losing 2 out of 3. And after Friday night, it wasn't looking great. They win a couple of games this weekend. I think it looks better when you look up Sunday night compared to where they were on Friday. And it seems like, at least from where the trend lines, where they were 1-7 over 8 games, nothing was going right. You had a lot of questions. I mean, it seems like they kind of halted that to some extent based on these last 2 days.
Which they've done every single time this year when they have a losing streak or they've played really bad baseball. They immediately turn around and play really good baseball. But like to Murray's point, and I've said this multiple times, I don't trust them. They're going to have to like legitimately prove it. The series win this weekend was great, but by no means should this be any type of like everything is fine, because they have proven and shown you every single time this year that they have played good baseball. They immediately followed up with really bad baseball. And hopefully they're in a stretch now where they play really good baseball for an extended period of time going forward here until the trade deadline. And you hope that their eventual trip up doesn't happen right away, and you can actually get some ground here and get above 500 and stay above 500 with like 5, 6, 7 games and feel good about yourself instead of immediately giving it back like they've done all year long.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Again, looking at some of these offensive numbers, I think I'll take it. If someone tells me the Padres finished 11th in OPS this year, I would take that. If someone told me they finish 11th in slugging, I would take it. If they told me they finished 9th in on base, I'd take it. That's where they are right now. I feel good enough about the offense. Tatis, I think, will come back in August. That's what Kevin Acee is reporting. We'll get the trade deadline where we saw reports say from Mark Feinsand and MLB that they're all in on buying, which, of course, we all would have, that makes sense unless they had this tailspin of a road trip. So we were worried about a tailspin of a road trip, but that hasn't happened because they've started 2-1. So that disastrous type trip, that 1-8, 2-7 trip isn't going to happen, thankfully, based on the way they played. They're 2 games over 500. If the season was over, they'd be in. There's 60 to play. They're going to be buying. So again, I think the indicators are fine. I don't think it's, hey, go build a float for a parade, but I think the indicators are fine right now for the Padres, truthfully. I think they need starting pitching. I think they've needed it for a while. I think they have really good starting pitching. I just think they could use more of it. That to me is going to be the key in the second half of the year.
I'm not sitting here like the overall numbers for the offense. Yeah, like you said, they're good, but from the stretch that they're in, their offense is still wildly inconsistent. And by the way, has not been good besides yesterday's game. And Manny has been in a massive, massive rut since his 4-for-5 night a couple weeks ago. He went hitless again today. Jackson Merrill is in a funk. Jurickson Profar had a nice day. Jurickson Profar did have a nice day, had 2 hits. But he's also been in a rut. Luis Ariz had a hit today. He's been kind of like up and down, but like the offense still is something that is worrisome, because ever since that 12-3 stretch, they have really not played good baseball offensively. And today, thank God for Michael King, because, 2 runs in Cleveland against one of the best home teams in baseball, you're like, I don't know about that. But Michael King pitched just beautifully today, and thankfully got him to the 8th, and you got Estrada and Suarez, and that was it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the 12-3 stretch which was without Tatis, followed up by whatever stretch they're in right now. What is it? 3-7 in their last 10, 3-8, something like that.
They're They're 1-6 in the
and then
break.
so 3-7.
3-7.
So if you just again, it's like we can slice anything. I'm fine with that. 12-3 was really good. I'm sure the offensive numbers were outstanding. And then 3-7, obviously the numbers aren't as good. Well, they're 3-7 in their last 10 games. But if you add it all up, 12-3 plus 3-7, they're 15-10 in their last 25 games. So it's like you can go any way you want with it. Sure, the last 10 games haven't been as good as the previous 15, but the previous 15 were really good, and that's not who they were either. Aren't they probably somewhere in between?
I would think so. I would hope they're somewhere in between. Well, they are somewhere in between. It's just they have a high of highs and then the low of lows, and then trying to get to that middle ground and staying in there has been a little.
That's who they are. They are the middle ground.
I know it's just been difficult. So yeah, hopefully you get to Washington and with who's pitching on.
So you only used 4 men in your rotation, so you're getting these guys back again, other than Vasquez, and then you go back to these 3.
Vasquez, Waldron, Cease.
King in Baltimore.
Yeah.
And then they need to figure out that number 5 spot, I think, this weekend in Baltimore, and I don't know what they're going to do. Is it Adam Mazur? I know Johnny Brito, I think, left due to injury in the minor leagues, his last start out. So that's the concern. Like, you don't have 5 starters. Like, that's a problem. You need a 5th starter. And, I mean, the trade deadline's less than 9 days away, July 30th, 3 p.m. Pacific. So, a lot's going to change, is my guess, between now and July 30th. And if you make one start with Adam Mazur, if you make one bullpen start, so be it. I don't think that's the end of the world, truthfully. So, get good production from these 3. Get out of this trip at 4-5 or 5-4, which I think is very realistic. I mean, 4-5 is certainly realistic. You're 2-1.
Now it is for sure.
Go 2-4 from here on out. You'd be 500 coming home. I think they can play better than that with the way King, Cease, Waldron have pitched. I mean, Cease has been dominant his last 2 timeouts, his last 2 times out. Waldron has just been solid all year. King's been, I mean, it's amazing the productivity they've gotten from Michael King. I mean, that Soto trade by the day in 2024 in the vacuum has worked out well for the Padres. Higashioka's production. King's, I mean, shoot, he's going to throw 180 innings potentially, which is crazy to think about at the beginning of the year. Vasquez is in the rotation right now, and it's been moderately effective. Brito's hurt, so be it. But man, that trade's worked out decently for the Padres in a vacuum. Sure, Soto's been great, but from the Padres' perspective, I think it's worked out fairly decently.
Yeah, the players that they got back have all contributed, which is all you could ask for in a trade like that, because you're trading away a top 5 player in the league, MVP level player who's gonna put up the crazy numbers that he has in New York. So you're just hoping that you get, production back from majority of the guys that you get back in this trade, or else it's going to look like shit. And right now, everybody that they have gotten back has contributed in a big way for this team. They're not the player. None of these players are Juan Soto. None of these players are as good as Juan Soto. But I mean, you tell me right now, hey, Kyle Higashioka is going to have almost 800 OPS and double-digit home runs for you on July 21st and be a like mainstay in your lineup. Michael King is going to have a 3.28 ERA and lead the team in innings pitched. And oh, by the way, Randy Vasquez has been doing very, very well for you as a 4th starter. And you use Drew Thorpe to get Dylan Cease, who hopefully will turn back into the Cy Young Dylan Cease that we saw for the first month and a half of the season. So yeah, the players they gotten back have all helped out. Long term, I don't know. Depending if Soto signs with New York, it's still to be determined. But this year, just this year in a vacuum, the players they've gotten back have helped this season.
Dylan Cease has 4 outings of 7 hits or more, 1 hit or fewer. He's the first pitcher in baseball to do that since 1915. So his stuff is absolutely filthy. Now he's had some inconsistencies in there. He's allowed the home run. But look at his last 2 times out, and 6 innings, 1 hit against Atlanta, and then 7 innings, 1 hit today.
Yeah,
21 strikeouts in 13 innings. Even the outing before that against Arizona was 7 innings, 3 runs. His last 3 outings, He's gone 20 innings allowed, 3 runs, whatever the math on that is, about a 1 ERA.
Mm-hmm.
So it's incredibly encouraging is what I would say. And again, I don't think he's got to be that guy for forever down the stretch, but having that type of pitcher, and then if you do get to the postseason, a guy that's capable of that, 10 strikeouts, 6-7 innings, is very appealing and probably a big reason why AJ Preller made a trade like that. Again, you got to get there, and he's got to be a reason why you get there. He's got to lead them there. And then if you get there, like today, if I'm in a postseason series, he's my ace, right? I mean, if you were in the postseason and it started tomorrow, it's Dylan Cease starting game 1, wouldn't it be?
Probably, yeah.
I don't see how it wouldn't be with this stuff.
But you look at the start of his season, if you take from April to May 14th when he blew up, I mean, he was giving you 6 innings every single time out. He was giving you 2 runs or less every single time out, except for that game versus Philadelphia, but he still went 6 innings. And if you get, that's the guy that you need. You need the guy that in the next 7 starts gives you 6 really good starts of 6 innings or more and 2 runs or less. And you're like, all right, we feel damn good about ourselves because you need an ace. And I think Michael King has provided ace-like stuff for sure. Matt Waldron has provided ace-like stuff for sure. But also if Michael King is going to be that, who's he going to be? Is he going to be the 4.2 ERA or is he going to be the 2.2 ERA guy?
Well, even like I'm looking at Cease, like you said, hey, give me of your next 7 outings, 6 of them 6+ innings. And yeah. I agree. I mean, I think he's capable of being that, but I'm looking at what he's done. And in his last 5 outings, he's gone 7 innings, 1 hit, 3 2/3 innings against Texas in Arlington. He allowed 6 runs, but then 7 innings, 3 runs, 6 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 7 innings, 1 hit, no runs. His last 5 outings, even with that blow up, he's got a 2. I just looked it up, whatever it is, 2.5 ERA. So 4 of his last 5 outings, he's been really good. So maybe he's in there right now. Like he makes 2 more good starts. 6 of his 7 outings are 6+ innings.
3 of his last 5 starts have all been 6+ innings, 1 hit allowed.
Yeah. So he's been
and then
great.
He's had 30 strikeouts and 6 walks. In those games, he went 6+, allowing 1 hit.
Yep. So his stuff, went on. I mean, arguably the best pitcher in the National League. And again, he's allowed a lot of home runs. For whatever reason, that's kind of weird for a guy that doesn't get hit to allow as many home runs as he's allowed this year. And that's been an issue with him at times in his career. But again, I like the trend lines with Dylan Cease because I see what he's done his last 3 times out. I think he's been pretty good. All right, we'll get back to the chat in a moment as the Padres win a series in Cleveland. Just the second team this year to win a series in Cleveland, the other being the Yankees in the middle of April. So I think encouraging for Padres fans. We do want to thank our title sponsor here on the wrap-up show, Mark Nimitz. We can't do it without his support. We can't do it without you guys hanging out with us as well. He's been with us since day one. Whatever you need. I mean, I've got homeowners and earthquake and life insurance through Mark, and he does auto. He does so much more. In addition to saving you money, he's going to save you money. He's a great insurance agent. You can take that from me. I've had insurance through Mark for years. At this point, he saved us a lot of money, but he saved us a lot of time. And he's just a great insurance agent because of his service and communication. So click the link in the description down below. You can get to his website. We'll talk to you about the Padres. He does free quotes online as well. Whatever it is, if you support the channel, support Mark Nimitz, San Diegan, lifelong Padres fan. He's been with us since day one. If you have any interest in any insurance needs and it's saving money, click the link in the description down below and get in contact with our title sponsor, Mark Nimitz.
Yeah, Mark's information is on the ticker there. You see his number followed by his email address, mnimitz@farmersagent.com. When you reach out to Mark, let him know that John and Jim from the Wrap-Up Show sent you.
All right, so subscribe if you're here. Year-round content for you. If you are a Padres fan, smash the like button for us. Thank you for the supers. You can click the $sign below the chat box. If you want to join our Discord server, you can click the link pinned in the top of the chat or click the link in the description down below for 24/7, 365 Padres conversation. JD Gacha, thank you. It's Ty France, first baseman, Aztec for life, put on waivers today by the Mariners. I know he was struggling this year. I don't know where he ends up next. I don't know if it's in a need right now for the Padres. But it's interesting. Guy that's a former Padre farmhand, former Padre, former Aztec that was released. I don't know how old he is either at this point. Maybe 30, something like that.
I don't see a place from him. There's no place for Ty France on this team, I feel like.
He's 30. He's hit 224, 8 home runs, 664 OPS. I mean, he's been a very good hitter in his career. 113 OPS plus career is good. He's given Seattle good production. He's hit 70 career home runs. That's decent total. Last home in San Diego in 2020 when he had an 868 OPS, but his OPS has just fallen every year since then, from low eights to mid sevens to low sevens to 664. I'm kind of with you. I think he would be, maybe you can come home again, but I just don't know if there's a need.
Yeah,
because
if
it
he was
seems
an
like there's too many
outfielder,
infielders.
if he was an outfielder, sign me up. Bryce Johnson.
Sure.
I mean, you're getting nothing on Bryce Johnson. He's just there. But he's not. He's a first baseman / DH. And right now, there's no spot for him. There's just none. I get it. Ty France, San Diego, right? San Diego State, former Padre, but there's no place for him, unfortunately.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Yeah, I think hopefully he lands somewhere. I think he will. He just turned 30. He's been a productive hitter. I think he can play in the big leagues. I just don't know if it's San Diego in the second half of 2024. And again, to your point, I think if you can upgrade and right, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But that is also dependent on Tatis and how long is he going to be out. Of course, you would take a flyer. You would take, a go-between, someone to fill that hole if you need to for a couple of weeks. And that's not going to be Ty France, but I don't know if they address outfield or not. My guess is they probably won't, because I think they probably feel as if Tatis is coming back. He's begun baseball activities. Kevin Acee reporting with us on Friday that he's not far off. I think he's a couple of weeks. I mean, it could be 2-3 weeks. There'll be a rehab in there. Maybe it's longer than that. Who knows? We've seen Tatis been shut down before, but you get Tatis back in 2 or 3 weeks, or even 3 or 4 weeks, and I don't know how much you really need to address right field. Peralta has given them something here recently, homered yesterday. Bryce Johnson hasn't given them much, but I don't know. I feel like you can probably buy time for 3 weeks if it's 3 weeks. If it's 2 months, you probably can't buy time.
No, and who says they don't go out and get someone at the deadline either? Which they could.
Yeah, I guess it depends on Tatis's health.
You can deal with a week of a black hole in right field, but you can't deal for the next 2 months. Tatis should hopefully be back well before, that. He should be back. I think Kevin said, I mean, even this here, John, mid to late August is still a long time away.
Yeah, no, it is. I think he said with us, because I listened back to it, I think he said 3 or 4 weeks. He might have even said less than that. And that was on Friday.
That's mid-August.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely
mid-August. It's not like August 2nd.
Right.
So and that this is probably with everything going as smoothly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
That's just never something that you could bank on all the time, especially with maybe this type of injury.
Yep.
So, and how is he going to be when he returns? Last time he had his injury with his shoulder, they had the Tatis rules. He couldn't slide. He couldn't steal any bases. And he just was he's half of Tatis. If you're going to be Tatis, we've said every single year, it's let Tatis be Tatis. Unfortunately, Tatis is glass, and letting Tatis be Tatis results in injuries.
Yeah, I think they're giving more of the opportunity in right in July to David Peralta, who, by the way, in July is hitting 333 with a 907 OPS, because I just looked it up in 13 games.
Crazy.
So they're getting production from Peralta. Again, I'm not going to pretend like that's going to last all year, but again, if you needed to start him 13 times between now and Tatis returning, and if you get any production like that, you could absolutely live with it.
Yeah.
They've gotten they have some pieces that have been valuable for them to some extent that they've acquired this year. Those veteran pieces, the Sollanos, the Peraltas, has not been Solano, but they've gotten some production that has been beyond serviceable.
When's the last time we saw Donovan Solano? Was it? I mean,
oh man,
truthfully, last night's game I didn't pay much attention to because we had people over. But did he get an at bat yesterday?
Well, you missed a big 7-0 win.
I had it on television.
Yeah. Solano, I really don't know the last time he's appeared in a game. I think it was maybe before the All-Star break, so he didn't appear this series.
So he didn't get one at bat this series.
But again, it's like, I kind of get it. There's going to be an odd man out, and you won the series. I don't know what else you're going to do. You're going to sit. Who are you going to sit?
Well, I'm just
That's
no,
what
I'm not saying
like,
I'm not
who you
saying
gonna
sit
sit?
anybody. I don't know. Who am I sitting?
Because they face right-handed pitching, so they're not. That's the thing, right? So he's not going to start against right-handed pitching.
Right. And yeah, you're not sitting at, you're not sitting Cronenworth. You're not sitting the Rise. Bogart's got to be in there.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what the Nats look like in terms of their rotation coming up, but I'm guessing if you face a lefty, which they will in game 2 right now, I'm sure he'll start one of these games. They have 2 lefties in there at least, so he'll start.
Oh, great start times, by the way. Jesus.
What time are they?
3:45, 3:45, and then Friday's 4:05.
9:05 on Thursday.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and everyone's gonna say, "Oh, you got to sweep the Nats," and no, you don't. You don't have to sweep the Nats. Go win the series. You're on the road, so go win that series. And you can't lose the series to Baltimore. Well, yeah, actually, you can, especially if you win a series against Washington. So you just won a series against Cleveland. So go win a series against Washington, and you're fine.
The way this team is so inconsistent this year, they could lose any series. There is not one series I feel like that this team is going to go into, and we're going to be sitting there being like, man, no, this team is 1,000% winning this series or sweeping them or whatever case.
But what's the opposite side of that conversation?
What?
They can beat anyone, right?
Well, yeah, because they are so unpredictable. And so there's not one series that you go into feeling either one way about, like, oh, they're going to lose this series, or they're going to win this series. Kind of just like gotta let them do their thing and see how it goes. Because after Friday, you're like, let's take a game, and they ended up playing really good baseball the next 2 days.
Yeah, again, they're better than they should be against good teams. And here's the example. They're 28-30 against teams over 500. You say, well, that's under 500, but that's against good teams, quote unquote. They're 2 games under. And then I look at teams like the Twins are 10 games over 500. They're 22-31 against teams with a winning record. Kansas City is 10 games over 500. They have a worse record against teams over 500 than the Padres. So, Boston's 8 games over 500. The Red Sox are 25-33 against teams over 500. So, Houston's 52-47. They're 18-26 against teams under 500. Now, there's 2 sides of that coin. They haven't been good against bad teams, but they've also won series against the Dodgers and the Guardians on the road. And there's other examples of road series they've won this year. I think Kansas City is an example of that as well. So they're unpredictable, hence the roller coaster.
Yeah.
Grit Squad, thank you for the super chat. He says Donnie Barrows is always going to be a bench piece. Not sure why people are clamoring for him to start. Love him for depth. Great series win today. He was playing like a piece that should be playing. Mm-hmm. But the second they got healthier with Bogaerts, we had this conversation weeks and weeks and weeks ago. This was always going to be the outcome. Bogaerts was never going to be secondary to Donovan Solano, who's making $700,000 this year. It was never going to be that way. If they can find a spot for him, and they have, he's still on the roster. He's going to start against left-handed pitching, I would assume, a decent amount. But, he deserved the playing time he got. He earned it and took advantage of it.
And good for Bogaerts, because like we said right away, if he does not hit right away, there was a lot of pressure on him to not go offers every night. And to his credit, he has not. 4 multi-hit games, really good, and you're not sitting there being like, where's Donovan Solano?
No.
type of thing. As of yet, hopefully Bogaerts can do more, but like as of right now, good start to getting him back. Because there's still a lot of pressure on him to perform here. I don't
think because it's Solano. I just think there's pressure for him to perform.
Oh, yeah, no, just in general, not for Solano. It just it does put another wrench in the thing if he doesn't perform. Yeah, the pressure's there, but also it's like, hey, there's another guy behind you. The backup quarterback theory, right? Like if everyone always loves the backup quarterback until the backup quarterback gets in there. But if the backup quarterback gets in there and he performs, and it's like, see, told you.
I do wonder how they get him in. I mean, is it to platoon Cronenworth? Because I don't think they'll get Solano in at the expense of Bogarts, would be my guess. I think they'll get Solano in, and Bogarts will also be playing. Now, Bogarts will get some days. There's 60 games left. He'll get a couple of days if he's healthy. But I think Bogarts, the presumption should be he's going to start most every game.
I truly think that they might go the route, which it seems like, of platooning Donovan Solano if he's in there versus a lefty on Wednesday.
Yeah, I don't know who starts Tuesday.
And my guess, just from splits alone, is like you might see a situation where AJ Cronenworth, you're down today.
Do we like that? Again, there's no
you
perfect
hit
solution
lefties,
right
that's
now.
the thing.
You can't hit lefties, you said?
Cronenworth, yeah. Not this year.
I know. But I'm just looking at I'm just looking at how Jake has been hitting in general. In July, just randomly, I mean, he's got a 797 OPS, which is solid. He's been solid. He's just been consistent all year, really. But it's fair. I mean, he hasn't hit near as well against left-handed pitching. So what's better for the team? Probably Solano against left-handed pitching. Is that going to happen? I don't know. I'm curious to see if it's going to happen, because it feels like Cronenworth is a regular based on his contract, based on his play this year, based on his bounce back of a season, but hasn't hit left-handed pitching. Other guys that don't hit left-handed pitching play, but maybe they're bigger, quote-unquote, stars than Jake Cronenworth. Tatis wasn't hitting left-handed pitching. He's going to play against lefties. Other guys haven't hit left-handed pitching. They're going to play. But, yeah, I don't know. I really don't. Yeah, Gene just said Jake's 200. I'd need to see recent numbers and yada, yada, yada. But clearly, obviously, Solano's a better hitter against left-handed pitching than Jake Cronenworth. We've outlined that over the last couple of weeks on the wrap-up show. So maybe that's what they do. It'll be interesting. It really will be. What's also going to be interesting is what they do. I mean, I don't have the tweet in front of me, whatever Mark Feinsand wrote today, but he said they're buyers.
Which firmly buyers.
Firmly buyers.
Yeah.
So firmly buyers, other teams he's reporting are going to sell off some pieces potentially, like the Cincinnati Reds. But yeah, Mets, Padres, and Twins are among the teams firmly in the buyer category. The deadline is less than 9 days away. Also, we've heard that Ethan Salas is untouchable from various sources. Haven't heard that same thing on Leo DeVries. I'm not reading too much into that. I'm not expecting DeVries all of a sudden to be moved in the next 7 or 8 days, but I'm also not expecting Ethan Salas to be moved in the next 7, 8, 9 days either.
And the only way those two guys would move is if you're trading for like Garrett Crochet.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I'm not going to say they don't need him, because he is a very, very good pitcher. But like, instead of maybe swinging for the fences every time, go out and find a legitimate guy for a 3 or 4 in your rotation and go get a back end reliever. You don't need to give up DeVries or Salas for a reliever.
100%. Or a back end starter.
Yeah. And like, if you are truthfully looking for another bat because you kind of are worried about Tatis or anything, again, you can find a bat that's not going to cost DeVries or Salas.
Of course.
They can do multiple things. It's without trading away DeVries and Salas. It's about, how much do they have in their system? And at this point in time, it doesn't seem like they have like a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
But you can get creative, and that's what Preller's going to have to do. I mean, how many times have we seen before a back end reliever gets traded for like
nothing?
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Like number 30 prospect in an organization.
Right. Like, hey, some guy you'll never hear from ever again.
Yep.
It happens all the time. Pitching is more expensive for sure, but like, figure it out, go figure it out. Go get a third or 4 starter that is having a decent year. You don't have to go and be like, we need the best pitcher available every single time or the best player available every single time and deplete resources in your farm system. You don't need to do that.
I think they get 2 starters. I think they get 2 starters between now and the deadline. I really do. See if it plays out. I know they're getting 1. I think they're going to get 2. Grit Squad, thank you. It says best guess on Tatis return date. I mean, it's who the hell knows? But I'll go optimistic. I'll say August 15th, mid-August, which is still, 3.5, 4 weeks away. Seems quasi-reasonable. Wasn't healthy when they had him before. Hopefully they can get him healthy and he makes a real impact from that point on. But again, I think the organization should know more than we do. So if they acquire a right fielder, he's not coming back immediately. If they don't, I think they're fairly optimistic they'll get him sooner rather than later, would be my guess.
Yeah, man, this is going to be such a fast-ending trade deadline.
It is. No, it really is. I mean, I think that in the postseason, here's the funny thing. I think right now they're set up well for a postseason. What I don't think they're set up right now well to do is get to the postseason. I think they need depth in the rotation. I think if this postseason starts tomorrow and you're in a 5-game series, I love it. I don't care about my starting pitching injuries. I got Cease, I got King, I got Waldron. I feel good. Yeah. I got Estrada and Suarez. I'll use them to death, so to speak. I'll pitch look at Suarez today. He's had 5 saves of 4 more outs this year. Second most in baseball, or 6. So I think with Suarez and Estrada, you can shorten games in the postseason. I think with your rotation, you can shorten it in the postseason. I think if you told me Tatis is back, I'll take my chances with the lineup. It's just you got to get there.
That's what they did in 2022. They had Snell, Musgrove, Darvish, Suarez, and Hader.
That's exactly right.
That was
they
it.
Eventually got thin with the Clevenger Mania games they were playing, but they were in the National League Championship Series too. So at that point, it's a different conversation a little bit.
Yeah, but to your point there, 3 starters and 2 legit relievers at the back end of your bullpen. That's what 2022 had, and they made the NLCS.
And by the way, the Morohones and the Matsuis, they got more than 2 relievers. They're not as good as Estrada and Suarez. Mm-hmm. But I go back to the Phillies in 2022, and they went to the World Series. They were riding those 2 relievers. I forget who they were. They rode those guys hard. They were getting 9 outs out of those 2 relievers multiple times in series. That's what teams do in the postseason. But you can't do that over the next 60 games. We can pretend like it's a sprint, but Suarez isn't going to throw 4 outs every time he's out there, nor will Estrada. So that's the fine line.
That's why, to me, I get your point. Starting pitching, you need starting pitching and depth to get there, right? And you can get that. But if I'm going big, if I'm choosing to find the best player at a position, I'm trying for a reliever and then get a 3rd or 4th starter in there, because relievers in the postseason, high-end relievers are very, very valuable. You rarely see starting pitching in the postseason consistently every single time out go 6-7 innings.
I agree.
You need 3 legitimate starters for sure, and they have that, but you need bullpen, back end, that pitching, guys that throw 100 out of the bullpen, multiple guys from different angles, some nasty stuff, because that's gonna win you. That's gonna win you games and get you to where you want to get to.
We could talk Nick Martinez in a moment, because the Reds will be selling. Is it realistic or not for the Padres? We do want to remind you about our friends over at MOVA Globes. I've got a pair of these puppies with me tonight on the wrap-up show, and you can see them on the screen right now as well. These are unbelievable products. And again, this company is based right here. Actually, the technology was founded right here, Cardiff by the Sea, North County, here in San Diego. They've got every single major league team officially licensed, but they have much more than that. They have planets, including Earth, where we live. We live here. And these things are incredible. They spin with artificial or natural light all day, all night long. No cords, no wires, just amazing pieces, great keepsakes, great desk items. If you use promo code PWS10, you're going to get 10% off your order. So use promo code PWS10. Click the link in the description down below. We'll tell you a little bit more about these, but these are wonderful products. It's been great to partner with them over the course of the last month or so. All 30 teams officially licensed, including the Padres, plus a ton of other Globe items as well, available for you by clicking that link in the description down below. And again, if you do it, make sure to use promo code PWS10. That is PWS10, and you're going to get 10% off. Let me pull that up real quick one more time. I did want to show you another one of their items, this Carina Nebula Globe. Look at these puppies. Who the hell knows? It's unbelievable technology. And they just spin and spin and spin, and they're really high quality, really beautiful to look at. Like it says, rotates with any light source, natural or artificial. No batteries, no cords. You can move them around your house, move them around your office. And yeah, the prints are beautiful on them, whether it's the Major League Baseball ones like the Padres or these planets, these satellite imagery from outer space. They really are incredible. Use promo code PWS10 to take advantage.
Yeah, Aaron liked the globe so much he put it in the living room.
That's how you know it's the real deal.
So I don't have the world globe with clouds on my shelf anymore. I have the Padres globe on my shelf.
Oh, good.
The world globe is now for everyone else to see.
All good. Nick Martinez, I mean, another one of these guys, like maybe you can come home again. The problem is he's making good money, and the Padres don't have a lot of money to work with probably. I think he'd be a really good fit. A guy that serves multiple roles, like he can pitch out of your bullpen or he can give you 5 innings. As a starter as well, we saw that over the course of multiple years in San Diego. He's just making a lot of money. I forget what the number is. What is it? 10, 12, 13, 14 per year?
It's a lot.
So he's only owed whatever that is on a third of a year. I don't know, 4 or 5, but that seems like a good amount of money for a guy that's like a yo-yo 4-inning guy. I don't know.
Yeah, the money thing is going to be the problem for sure. For me, a name out there that I could see get traded easily is, I've talked about him, Cal Quantrill, former Padre. You can come home again, Cal Quantrill.
Right.
He's kind of like the perfect 4th, 5th starter in your rotation right now. Like he gives you innings. He's over 100 innings this year so far. He's got a 2.4 WAR. Now he's on the Rockies, so the Rockies suck. And his ERA is 4.15. It's something that you look at and you go, he's not making a lot of money. He's on a 1-year deal, making 6.5. So that's like what? Less than 3 probably. Right now.
Less than 2 probably.
Yeah, probably less than 2. And they're on a team that's not going anywhere. You trade a low-level prospect for him to get him out of Colorado and put him in your rotation. Not going to cost a lot of money. He's a guy that is better than Johnny Brito. He's a guy that probably gives you exactly what Randy Vasquez gives you, which is kind of what they need, right?
I like that a lot. I mean, I'll give you another name that we've said 100 times, so you'll know where I'm going. I won't say his name, but I'll give you the numbers. He's got a 4.1 WAR and a 2.97 ERA, and would come at you for a reasonable price in terms of assets. It's Tyler Anderson, who's got a 4.1 WAR. He makes money. He makes $13 million per year, but he's also a starting pitcher, and you get a starter for 2025 at $13 million, which I think is pretty reasonable. And you get him for 50 games. It's a third of 13. So 4.33 million, something like that. I mean, I think they might be able to work with something like that. I don't know. If they can't work with something like that, I don't know what they're going to do rotation wise, because you're not going to get a veteran starter that's owed like $900,000 for the rest of the year. Every veteran starter, like the Sean Manaeas of the world, all make $10 million. So I don't know.
The Cal Quantrill number is pretty low. It's probably the lowest you're going to get with Cal Quantrill, like 2 to 3 million.
Yeah,
for a guy that's a quality starter.
Yep.
Now there are a bunch of buyers out there, so it's not like they can just go get these dudes without any competition. I'm sure there's been a lot of teams that have talked about the names we just talked about there.
Sure.
For sure. Or maybe not. Maybe they're like, we don't want to trade anything for a 4th or 5th starter. Or even Tyler Anderson.
I mean, there's a lot of teams that need it. A lot of teams have, I mean, the Dodgers are a perfect example of a team with a lot of rotation injuries or question marks that they're going to be, asking, that they need starting pitching. Now, again, you're not competing solely with the LA Dodgers, and what they're looking for might not be exactly what you are looking for, but there's going to be teams looking for back end rotation help, would be my guess.
What do you think of, hold on. this name, which is pull this up here. A guy like Eric Fetty of the White Sox
Yep. It's a good name. How much
just
does he
put
make?
together borderline an all-star year, 7.3 with a 2.99 ERA. Or was he an all-star this year? No, he was not an all-star. 'Cause he's on the White Sox. White Sox actually it's crazy. White Sox have two like legit pitchers, and
Oh,
they're
yeah.
the worst team in baseball. And get Crochet and
Two-
Fetty.
I mean, he's the perfect option. 2-year, $15 million deal signed through next year. Controllable, comes on the cheap.
Mhm. Now,
Perfect.
I will say this though. He's having a really, really good season for the White Sox.
But he
And
was
this is
awful
it.
previously.
But he's been awful for his entire career to the point where he had to play last year in Korea. So, like,
Take
did
my
he
chance.
figure something out? And this is like the new player that you're going to get for the next 3-4 years? Or is this a one-off?
I'm not worried about anything beyond, I guess, 2025, and I feel like you're getting him for cheap. So he makes 7.5 next year. So what are you really asking of him? If he's a starter for you at 7.5,
Well, you're also, if it was between Eric Fetty and Cal Quantrill, Eric Fetty's having the better year by far. He's also going to cost more as far as
sure.
prospects go. Like you're going to have to give up a better prospect to get Eric Fetty, or prospects to give up to get Eric Fetty, who ironically was drafted by the Padres in 2011.
Wow, it's a while ago.
Or you go with Cal Quantrill, who is making less money, not controllable, but again, whatever. You just need some guy to eat innings for you. He's not going to cost you a prospect that anybody cares about.
I say both. I mean,
Sure,
that's why
both.
I wish Nick Martinez didn't cost as much, because I would say go get someone like Nick Martinez that could be a 6th starter for you, and then go get a number 4 starter. That would be my goal. My dream scenario is go get actually someone that's pitching better than a number 4 starter, a guy that's pitching like a 2, like a Tyler Anderson or like an Eric Fetty, someone that's pitching like a 2, and then pair him with someone that could be like a, yo-yo number 5 spot. But if you need him for long relief, you could do that as well. Can do multiple things for you like Nick Martinez did for years for this team. That's probably my dream scenario if I was in charge of the organization. I'm not reaching for the stars, to everyone's point. I probably don't go for Garrett Crochet. There's going to be other buyers. He's not a perfect fit in 2024 because of his innings. I like him for 25 and 26. He's controllable and doesn't make money. But for 2024, I'm thinking more realistic. I want guys that are having good years and that can help me in the second half and can start every 5th or 6th day, that are having nice years. That's what I'd be looking for.
Another guy who's, I would say, in between Eric Fetty and Cal Quantrill as far as like what you'd have to give up for him would be Jack Flaherty, who
he's had a nice year, right?
has had a really nice year. He's got a 3.13 ERA, 100 innings pitched, 7-5, 2.5 WAR. His whip's below 1. He's had a really, really nice season. While Eric Fetty is on a 2-year deal, and Cal Quantrill's on a 1-year deal, and Jack Flaherty is on a 1-year deal as well. You get a guy who it would cost probably less than 6, because he's a 1-year, $14 million deal.
Yeah, less than 5, because it'll be a third of the season.
Okay, so you got 5 there. 5. You're probably not going to have to give up a sizable package for him, because it is just 1 year left, and it's
rental.
It's a rental. It's for 2 months, right? Where Fetty, you might have to give up a little more. But like,
it's a good name.
Those are some names I think I've definitely been talked about with AJ Preller, Jack Flaherty, Eric Fetty, Cal Quantrill, Tim Anderson. Like, those are the types of guys. I think Garrett Crochet is a pipe dream, honestly. If they pulled off a Garrett Crochet deal, then goodbye Ethan Salas or Leo DeVries, in my opinion. And I don't think they're doing that. I think if Garrett Crochet gets moved, which it seems like he is, he's going to the Dodgers. He's going to the Orioles. He's going to maybe the Yankees. He's going to one of those teams, or a random team out of nowhere that's willing to give up a shit ton of prospects for him, because that's what that's what the asking price is.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the first real move here in deadline season, because the biggest moves that have been made before the season, in season, I think have been made by the Padres, which is the Arias move and the Cease move, are probably the 2 biggest moves of the season so far. But you're going to see real movement, obviously. And when does that start? Again, we're only 9 days out. It's coming actually sooner than normal. The last couple of years, the trade deadline was like August 1st or August 2nd. This year it's July 30th. They don't have many games. They have 6 before the deadline because they play July 30th at 6:40 p.m. against the Dodgers. They have 6 remaining games before the deadline. This is who they are. Because let's say they go 4-2, great. Let's say they go 3-3, great. Let's say they go 2-4, not as great, but it's the same record. They're a 500 team at the deadline. Can we agree? They're either going to be 2 or 3 over, 1 over. So they know what they're dealing with. They know what they need to accomplish over the next 60 games. Now, when do they strike, and in what manner do they strike? It's going to be fascinating. I think from a baseball perspective, there's going to be a lot of movement, and I think from a Padres perspective, it is going to be fascinating to see what AJ Preller is capable of executing, I guess, and what reins is he given as well will be interesting. Is he capable of making that splashy, high-profile, large deal or not? Not that I necessarily need him to make that high-profile move, truthfully.
Yeah, he's already. I mean, everyone has to think about it.
He's made some moves.
He's already made 2 of them. He traded for a runner-up in Cy Young and Dylan Cease. And he traded for a 2-time batting champion in Luis Ariz already. So, like, after August 1st, whoever they trade for, it's not just those people that he has traded for this year. It's been, I mean, as a whole, whenever he trades for somebody, whenever he brings someone in here, you can't tell me there's anybody else out there that has made more moves than AJ Preller this season, trade-wise. There hasn't. Just of impact, right?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think it's a good point. Will, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the membership, guys. If you're here, subscribe here on Content For You, the home of Real Padres Talk. Smash the like button for us. You can follow us on X at John Schaefer, at Jim Russell SD. Thank you for the super chats. Great way to support our channel and our work. Just click the $ below the chat box. We get to all of the super chats, like this one from Will, who says, do you think our recent draft picks loosen up some of our current top prospects? Truthfully, no, because every team is just drafted. And your quote unquote, I don't know, top prospects that you just drafted, how do we even know if they're top prospects or high schoolers? Your first 3 picks were high schoolers. So these guys are far away from the big league. So I don't think just because you've drafted a couple of left-handed starters, it puts you in a position to move someone like Dylan Lesko or Robbie Snelling, because those guys are further away from the big leagues than a Lesko and a Snelling, a lot further.
Right. But you also could look at it from a standpoint of, all right, we need to win now. We need these pitchers in here now that can help this team win now. Mm-hmm. And our job is to find the next Dylan Lesko and the next Robbie Snelling.
Sure. Yeah, I agree with that.
And if they have confidence that they can do that, then I think they're willing to pull the trigger on those guys.
Yeah, those guys can move. I just don't know if the fact that we just went through a draft has changed the fact that those guys would move or not, if that makes sense.
No. And they might view some of those guys in the draft as like, okay, those guys have the potential, but they're so young and they're just – I don't know, dude. There's just,
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Again, you're going to have to move. I'm not advocating to move Salas or DeVries. I'm just not as we speak today. But I understand if they have to move one of their top pitching prospects. Like, if you're trying to address 2024 and it's a seller's market, then you can't keep it all. You can't expect AJ Preller only to be making deals with his number 16 through 30 prospects. If he's going to get something real back, there's a chance one of his top 5 or 6 prospects moves. But that's this time of year, and good teams often move their top 10 prospects in an effort to improve their roster. So I'd almost be surprised if one of those guys didn't move. I don't have the list of top 5 or top 6 in front of me, but I guess as I sit here today, I'd be surprised if I looked at the list of like top 6 Padres prospects, if one of them didn't move between now and July 30th. That would surprise me.
Yeah, I would say of Lesko, Snelling, and Adam Major, one of those guys gets moved at the deadline.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that.
Maybe multiple. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I tend to agree with that. I do. There was something else in here in the chat that I found interesting. Oh, in terms of the people saying, oh, do you think, we throw at the Nationals, or I think it's done.
It's over.
Like, I think that's completely done. In fact, I think Bryce Miller, who's on the road with Kevin Acee, the columnist, wrote today that he went to DC. Bryce Miller, June dust up with Profile Padres, a thing of the past for Nationals. So he's like, I don't know, I think he's in DC probably writing about it. That thing's done. It's only not finished if the Padres were to start something, and that's not who Mike Schilt has been. Like Mike Schilt is Mr. like chug along. Right? Don't get distracted. That's who he's been. They haven't done that at all year. There's been very few altercations like delivered by the Padres. That's for sure. They've been more reactive. They haven't been proactive at all when it comes to that. So I think these teams just chug along. I think here's the thing. Go take advantage of a team that has not played good baseball since you saw them. I don't know what they did this weekend.
They swept the Reds.
Okay. And that's why the Reds are going to be sellers. So, okay. But win a series against the Nationals. That's all that I really care about. I don't care if anyone gets hit. I just want them to win the series.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything there. It's over with.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised if there is.
I agree. All right, guys. UnderdogFantasy.com. Use promo code PODSWRAP. That's PADSWRAP. Get that 50% deposit match plus a free special pick. It's going on right now at UnderdogFantasy.com. Click the link in the description down below. A free special pick plus a 50% deposit match, which means if you deposit $50, they'll give you free $25. If you deposit $500, they'll give you a free $250 or anything in between. You got to use promo code PODSWRAP. That's PADSWRAP. Play Padres Pick'ems beginning Tuesday with Padres Nationals. So simple to play, so easy to win. Simple higher or lowers. Will Manny Machado have higher or lower than a half RBI? Will Xander Bogaerts have higher or lower than 1.5 total bases? That type of contesting going on right now at Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code PODSWRAP. That's PADSWRAP. And get that free special pick plus a 50% deposit match up to $250 for a first-time deposit.
I'm so mad at myself.
What's that? What are you mad at?
That I didn't put the second the news dropped today. I'm like, I need to go put some money on Nick Castellanos hitting a home run.
Oh, that's right. The news. I forgot about that.
And I'm like, why didn't I do that? Easiest bet of all time.
That is so true. I wonder how many people did do that.
Probably a lot, because I saw a lot of people on like social media being like, Castellanos plus 350 home run today. Book it. Like,
dude, it's like the greatest meme of our lifetime in sports.
That anytime breaking news happens in the world, Nick Castellanos is there to hit a home run. And it all started with Tom Brennaman.
Tom
Brennaman, yeah.
Who was hired today.
Which is another, like,
that's the like cherry on top.
Yeah.
In fact, I think whoever broke the story at The Athletic, Andrew Marchand, told Tom Brennaman when he got off the phone with him whenever he wrote this article, he's like, watch, when I publish this article, Castellanos is going to hit a home run.
He fucking hit a home run today.
Happened. And that is comical. That is,
oh my gosh.
That whole circumstance that played out with the Reds is so, if I think most people know the story, but I mean, he was apologizing on air for a slur he used. And then Castellanos hits a grand slam. Like, and that'll be a deep drive to make it a 4-0. It was the most ridiculous.
A 4-0 game. Castellanos just hit a home run.
It was ridiculous.
Like, oh my god, dude!
That was 4 years ago, and it's still going to this day. It's ridiculous.
Seriously.
It is so ridiculous.
It's like I saw someone put out there, like, when world news breaks Castellanos, and then it was like a video of like Barry Bonds like going off.
Real quick, here are the top 10 guys. I mean, over under on. I mean, I'll say 1.5 is safe. I would say over 1.5 of these guys are gone in 9 days.
I completely forgot about that. I would say is
Paulie's gone.
60. Yeah,
Graham Paulie's gone.
Paulie's gone. Homer Bush is gone.
I would say
gone.
My first 2 guesses are Paulie and Major.
Me too.
That's my guess. But I don't know a lot about some of these other dudes, truthfully. Berger, Lizarago, Krob. I don't know anything about them.
3 of these dudes are gone.
Yeah, probably. You're probably right. 2 of them are gone. And certainly within their top 30, a handful of those guys are going to go. And that's the cost of trying to win at the big league level, which I'd prefer. It's better this way. It sucks when you trade away, like, I don't know, name a player on the Padres. If they suck, that would be a good piece to move right now in this exact moment. If the Padres were 16 games under 500, who's the first player you're thinking about moving?
Kim.
I don't know what you get for him in a rental. But okay, so you trade away Kim. But like, oh wow, we got the number 11 and number 12 prospects from the Royals. Yay.
Honestly, if there were 16 games under,
Yeah.
Dylan Cease.
Yeah, if there were 16 under, yeah, probably. But then again,
You're not re-signing him.
Yep.
He's a Boris client.
Yep.
He's gone.
Yeah,
if that was the case. Him,
16.
Kim, is there anybody in your bullpen?
The thing is, they don't have a lot of cost. Like they got. I'm trying to think.
Maybe Luis Ariz as well.
I mean, would you remove Suarez if you were 16 under? What is this, year 3 of that 4-year deal?
Dude,
makes a lot of money.
And you could be like, hey, Estrada's our guy going forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just interesting again, it sucks when you're on that side of it. And they've been on that side of it a lot before, I don't know, 2018, 2019. There was one other thing. Right. Where was it? Oh, someone's saying, I think Kim gets moved. I don't.
0 chance.
I don't know if it's 0, but I don't think he gets moved.
No.
But now again, do they have too many infielders? Yes.
They do. But Kim is, I don't think, going anywhere.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I agree. I completely agree. I think he stays.
They're firmly buyers.
Firmly buy. They're buying. All right, join us tomorrow. We'll talk more about it. Padres off day, which means something is happening. So join us tomorrow. Maybe Nick Castellanos homers tomorrow on the Padres off day. JD Gaucho, before we get out of here, are we ready for the Olympics? There's no baseball in the Olympics, is there?
Not that I know of. And if there is, there's no one like of consequence.
I think it's coming back in 2028. And Otani has recently said he hopes that major leaguers are in it in 2028. So I think that's right. I don't think it's in 2024. I think it's in 2028 in LA. Would you like to see major leaguers in the 2028 Olympics?
No.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I just
then they would have to stop the baseball season.
Yeah, it's stupid.
And it makes no sense because there'd be 26 dudes or 28 guys or however many they have in Olympic teams of 30 baseball teams. And if they didn't stop baseball, could you imagine like, oh, the Yankees are without Aaron Judge for 3 weeks?
Wait, do the Olympics really have baseball? Hold on.
If they have baseball, it is all college kids because there's no major leaguers there.
No baseball. Yeah, because now JD Gaucho following up Hawaii. Oh, men's basketball has been mid since joining the Big West. They're sending 2 or 3 players to the Olympics. Make it make sense. I have no clue. I don't know how anyone knows anything about the Olympics. There's so many sports. There's so many athletes. There's so many nations. Like, I don't know how you're like an Olympic expert. Mike Tirico, however the hell he does his job for like 16 straight nights and knows about gymnasts and volleyball play. It's incredible, dude. It's truly incredible. It's hard enough to know something about 30 major league teams. I have no clue how you know something about like the Russian, traveling Olympic team. It makes no sense to me, but I guess that's his job.
Well, he has probably producers that give him like notes on
I know. He must. He's got more producers than we have probably, which means he has a producer. All right. Join us tomorrow on John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760 from 3 to 6. We'll be talking Padres baseball. So please join us.
It's more than us, which means he has one.
Yeah. San Diego Sports 760 or find us on YouTube. Search for John and Jim 760. Again, subscribe. Year-round content for you. Smash the like button for us. Thank you for the super thanks if you're here on replay. And thank you to our partners, Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance, MOVA Globes. Use promo code PWS10 and Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code PODSWRAP for that 50% deposit match. Promo code PADSWRAP. Padres won a series in Cleveland, just the second team to do it this year. They win today 2-1. They win yesterday 7-0. For Jim, I'm John. This has been the wrap-up show. Thanks, guys.